Hi again guys, and welcome to episode 47 of D.A.R.C, or Does Anyone Really Care? Now, when you think of the Toyota Prius, it probably doesn't exactly fill you with excitement, and it's not the kind of car that you'd think of as being the ideal track machine. That is, unless you're Polyphony Digital, and then what you do is you decide to turn it into a fictional touring car. But as well as turning it into a touring car, you give it less power than any other touring car in the game, just to fuel its inferior image. But is that the case? Well, you need to put the prejudice aside for the Toyota Prius, because although the car does have a reputation for being a bit of a greenies car, it's actually a much better track machine than you'd think. Now, as I said, this is a fictional touring car, and as I also said, it does have significantly less power than pretty much any other touring car in the game. Now, fully tuned, this car sits at just 445 pp, and it only produces 226 brake horsepower. So it's not exactly going to break records. It also weighs in at 1,035 kilos, which, although that is fairly light, it's no way near as light as many of the other small to moderate size hatchbacks on the game, especially not a fully stripped out touring car. So it's not as powerful as you'd like, it's not as light as you'd think, and the PP isn't all that competitive. So why on earth am I featuring it in this series? Well, I'll tell you why. The beauty of cars which are slow but still proper racing cars is that although they are inferior in straight line performance, and this car definitely is, they do make up for that. And the reason why they make up for that is because of the speed that you can take corners at. Because just like with a high-performance MotoGP motorcycle compared to a learner-legal street-level motorcycle, with a learner motorbike you can use much more of that bike's power and performance, whereas with a MotoGP bike, the average rider would be holding back a lot of its performance. And it's the same with low-level racing cars. If you pull out something like a super touring car or a DTM machine, the average driver cannot use that car's full performance. A seasoned driver obviously could, but the average Joe who has little experience of driving full-on racing cars is not going to be making the full use of that machine. Whereas cars like this, and other cars in this series, such as the Hyundai Click Type R, the Spoon, Honda Fit, etc., they do have inferior performance and inferior power, but they can take corners at incredible speeds, and they're so easy to drive. They have tons of grip, incredible brakes, because, I mean, why wouldn't they have incredible brakes? They've got hardly any power and weight for the brakes to actually hold back. And overall, it makes them a very fun to drive and extremely beginner-friendly package. Now, I would say this Prius is by far the most beginner-friendly touring car in the game, and at the end of the day, it is a proper touring car. It will give you pretty decent lap times, which is surprising for a Prius, especially considering that even in its touring car spec, it only has a single forward gear. Now, I'm not claiming that this car is going to win every race that you enter with it. I'm not even necessarily claiming or recommending that you use it in its maximum 445 pp form. But I would recommend that you keep your mind open to vehicles like this, because you never know when a vehicle like this might come in really handy for a low pp race, say 400 or 425 or even 445, where you really need that advantage in turning, in grip, in braking, and in just how much you can throw the car around corners. Now, it is expensive. It's a 185,000 credit car, but overall I would recommend that you try this car at least once. So that's it for this episode, and I'll see you guys next time. As always, Thanks for watching.